So, how did I lose 50 pounds? And what are the two principles that you actually need to have sustainable long term fat loss that people don't really talk about? People often talk about different diets, different workout plans, different ways of lifting weights, fasting, all these sort of gimmicky things that might work in the short term. But how do you get sustained fat loss that you don't yo-yo diet and put on the weight that you've taken off? So the first principle that you need is simple patience. Actually losing fat can take a bit of time, and it can be both quick and slow at the same time. What I mean by this is, so I was nearly 260 at my heaviest. You could be losing a pound a week quite easily if you're in a calorie deficit, but if you aren't tracking that on the scales, you might not be able to see that. And so you might actually be doing the right things. And if you aren't tracking it, then you might think it's not working. So you need to track as well. But that's a sub layer of patience. So if you're patient, you can go, say, lose 4 to 6 pounds a month. That's a healthy amount that won't be yo-yo dieting. So say for me, I was 50 pounds overweight or so. And it actually took me longer than it could have. I could have lost the weight quicker, but I had to experiment, which is actually the second principle. But we'll get into that in a minute. So you need to have patience and be able to sit with the longer term success over the short term discomfort, especially when you're first going into the sort of diet phase of actually losing the weight and you're changing what you eat. You might be working out differently. You might be exercising for the first time. You never exercised before. It's going to feel different. It's going to feel new. And you might want to go back to your old ways, the old comforting ways of eating the unhealthy foods and not doing any exercise. So you need the patience to get through that initial discomfort until that turns into the good feeling, which eventually does lead to. So you need the patience to let the good thing work. The second principle is a willingness to experiment. So although the fundamentals of fat loss is you need to be in calorie deficit and you need to be eating foods that fill you up in that deficit, so then you don't want to overeat. You need to experiment with what foods these are for you. So for some people, you might really like eating lots of vegetables. Other people might like salads. Other people might like more dairy products, or some people might go no meat, and do vegetarian style stuff. Ultimately, what you need is what I would term foods of a high fullness factor. And this term is actually in a little free mini course I've got in the description, which is a little 7-day course, totally free. Just check your email in and you get it sent to email, about the fundamentals of fat loss and what I wish I would have known 10 years ago in terms of fat loss. Real simple, real clean. You can definitely lose weight doing that little course, and it's totally free. What you need is foods of a high fullness factor. So what do I mean by this? So foods that aren't super high in calories, but that do fill you up. So it's the classic, oats porridge, 0%, strained yogurt like skyr yogurt, fruits, vegetables, meats, all that good stuff. And you want to be eating that probably 90% of the time. Some people say 80-20, I'd say 90-10, or even 100% of the time is even better. Eventually, when you do it long enough, you won't want to have the other 10% that isn't the food that isn't good for you anyway, because it doesn't feel good to you. So you need to be filling your diet with these foods that have a high fullness factor, and you need to work out, of course, how much of a deficit you need to be in to be losing a certain amount of weight. So, for example, for me, my daily caloric burn just stay the same weight, it's like 3,000 calories or so, maybe a bit under. So I go for like 2,500 calories a day. Make sure I have plenty of protein, good fats, maybe a little bit lower on the carbohydrates, but you can change that as what you like. It's like a preference. So again, in that mini course, there's a big list of what I would term fullness factor foods. So you want foods that fill you up, have a high density of nutrition, and aren't really high in calories. And funnily enough, it's always foods that aren't the modern diet. It's vegetables, eggs, dairy products, meats. It's so easy to overeat with the modern diet. If you go to any big fast food chain and look at the calories, it's insane. So say you go to get a burger from one of the fast food chains, it's like 1,500 calories as a meal, maybe 2,000. If you get a big fries, big drink, and the burger itself, and if you add on things like mayonnaise and other condiments, it could be over 2,000 calories a meal. And say your calories to lose weight is 2,500 calories. All of a sudden, you've nearly eaten your whole caloric intake with something which actually doesn't fill you up. And then the rest of the day, you have some more calories, and you've eaten maybe 4,000 or 5,000 calories a day. And then you wonder why everyone is gaining weight so much. It's very easily done, but if you don't track it, then you don't know. So you need the patience to let something good work. You need to be doing the thing that's working as well. The willingness to try, experiment with different foods, experiment with workouts. It's better to not go too hard with the workouts too soon. Do a bit of a mix of resistance training, mix of cardio. Again, it's in the course in the description. And you track it as well. That's like another sub principle, is tracking what's going on with your calories, with your weight. And you can see in the photos I put in the thumbnail that I lost a lot of weight. And I maybe did that just over a year. I could have done that in probably 6 months or less. But it's because I didn't have the exact knowledge or track of knowing what to do, but now I do. So in part why I make these videos for you guys. So hope you enjoyed that video. Just a little on about fat loss. Snag that little free mini course in the description. And I'll see you guys on the next one.